7:04.
It's all yours.
That's okay. 7:04, and the meeting has begun. Let the
Festivities commence.
festivities begin. Okay, minutes. Anybody got minute stuff?
I wasn't here, so I
I
gotta believe it.
thought they were good.
Anybody?
I didn't have anything.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes as they are written. Second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor? Aye, all those opposed?
I gotta abstain, because I wasn't here.
Okay, so Vicky's abstaining.
Just gotta believe what I read.
Don't believe it, don't believe everything you read. Okay, we're
No,
going.
I read them, but I wasn't here.
We're going to the master plan housing chapter, which we're in the process of doing.
Yep.
I had actually a couple of comments, Tim, on your section.
Yeah.
I know you, I'm sorry, but just a couple of suggested things, if I could. Where you say, the part where you talk about new construction. You wrote this, do you know where the new construction part is?
I haven't read it.
All right, well, I'll skip to the other part where it says, you do, oh yeah, here at the end, in conclusion, Lyme's historic assets are a vital part of our community that should be preserved at all costs. I would take,
Take that
should
out.
be preserved,
Yeah.
unless you wanna change it to, should preserved,
No,
and that we will bear any burden, pay any cost,
Right.
let friends and foes alike,
That's good, yeah.
Yeah, like
No,
that.
I think you're right, let's take
Yeah.
out at all
all
costs.
costs. And the part with the new construction, you said that, seeing new construction is like.
Yeah, well, I was on my own.
Yeah, and I think that's probably not
I mean,
accurate, because there are people who like new construction, so,
Well, I think I was talking about new construction that doesn't.
yeah, but you should be clear about that, relatively. So,
Yeah, the vast majority of modern architecture ignores the basic principles.
it is extremely drive today and view new construction. Why don't you just say something different than view, because you're referring to a specific type of.
Right, okay,
thing.
so, yes, because it does sound like it's all new construction.
Yeah, and
Which-
Wait, why don't you just put a period after depressing?
or why don't you just leave out the
It is.
why don't you just leave out that last sentence for someone who's educated? You've already made your point, why don't you just take that last line out?
After basic principles, put a period
Put
and
it-
then cross it out.
cross out the last
Okay,
line.
Okay,
No,
It's laying it on a little thick, I'd
yeah,
say.
well, that's my own.
Right, and so I think you
It's
wanna,
true.
also, just the paragraph above that, it's not an IE, because high-quality materials are not old-growth pine, you wanna say EG, which is Exemplaria gleratia, E.G, and then old-growth pine, and then you can put chestnut or elm, because those are,
Okay.
High quality material.
So EG, cross out
EG.
this, put E,
because IE is
Yeah,
IDS,
okay.
old-growth
Well,
pine, which
it's
is
not-
not a
it's-
higher
it's
quality
like this.
material necessarily.
so it'd be like EG,
All right.
and then old
Old
pine.
pine, and then I thought you
comma,
might wanna put in chestnut and
chestnut.
hemlock
Yeah.
also, because those
Yeah.
are some of the older woods that you see.
Well, hemlock we have today, but.
Well, I didn't, I said
Old-growth
chestnut and
pine.
elm, I didn't say hemlock. Chestnut, elm,
Elm,
Just,
yeah,
okay.
Okay, that sounds.
yeah. And then, I would also cross out at all costs, and I think that on that, in conclusion, the last, the historic assets should be lowercase, Lyme is uppercase, and then small h, small a,
Okay.
because they're not proper nouns.
Okay. So, should I redo this there, or do you want, how do we change it?
If you wanna give me the edits, I can,
Okay.
I can give them to you, and then I thought we should add a paragraph at the bottom, about how the the Heritage Commission can help. Like, okay, so there's all this stuff, but, so what if you want
Well,
to help, or get help, what, so if you would like help,
Yeah, we could say the
with
Heritage
your,
Commission
with renovating your older
can be
house.
used as a resource.
Yeah,
Or-
then, you know, you
Yeah.
should contact the Heritage Commission or something like that.
Okay, I'll add that to the.
Yeah, because I just think it needs to be kind of positive, and that's why the Heritage Commission's there.
And I'll let you write that up,
Yeah.
just because,
I can give you
I can get
the
it.
changes here that I had, which I think are all the same. I mean, I had to add all costs,
Yeah, yeah, I
leaving
think
us
that's
to,
good.
okay.
And you have the cross out of that one sentence.
Yes,
Yeah.
there are two sentences at the
Okay.
end.
Yeah.
perfect. I'll make the corrections, if you wanna just do that new paragraph and send it to me, I will
Right.
insert it.
Okay. And, anything else on that chapter? You guys make any well, you were out.
I've been out and it's
I was
been playing
thinking,
catch up right now.
I was thinking that it would be really nice to get this to resilience.
Yeah,
This,
yeah, it
you know,
would be,
make sure that they
yeah,
get this.
you're right.
So-
There's gonna be a meeting, like,
18th.
18th.
We can give that to them at the meeting, or maybe before the
So, I was
meeting.
saying maybe before. 'cause-
Okay,
Yeah.
you wanna send it to them?
Yeah.
Go
It's
ahead.
not ready yet, I don't think.
I mean, what we have,
No, it's not ready yet, we should,
It's not ready yet.
yeah, we,
okay,
Wanna say that?
in fact,
Well,
what's,
see, I thought this first page that, I guess you wrote that,
yeah,
would be really interesting for them to have, because it kind of summarizes what we're thinking about it all.
well, at least on the planning board.
Yeah, from the planning board. Well, maybe we can wait till the
It's fine, I
meeting.
mean, we can,
I don't think we need to, I think we should ship them a more complete thing.
Okay,
I think if we do this, we should
All right, or
have
talk to them at the meeting about it.
a more complete draft.
You know, I was thinking about, they're probably gonna do all the numerical stuff we ever want.
well, no, I don't think they're gonna do everything.
you know,
I don't think they're gonna do
not-
workforce
not-
housing and I don't think, I don't know what they're gonna do with, the housing inventory. Do you know what they're doing?
Well, that's why I was wondering.
Yeah,
And we'll find out, I mean, this is
Could I-
is forest early.
yeah, so, what's that?
Could I interject that, I don't know specifically what they're doing. I think it would not be a waste of our time to send them a list of questions that, and information that we have, when we have the housing inventory, we have
Yeah.
other assets, and certainly to send them, in fact, Sue encouraged me to send them a note of stuff that I had collected. And just to say, don't know if this would be helpful, but here's the kind of information we have.
Yeah, I agree.
Um,
I don't see any harm in us giving them stuff. They can
And then-
ignore it
Yeah.
if they like.
And secondarily, to say, we are curious about this and this and this, what it would be, if you think it would be useful or
So you
illuminating.
sent stuff or?
I have not sent it yet, I
Are
haven't
you gonna
missed,
send it
but
directly to them?
I think so, sure. I
Huh?
mean, I think so. I
Yeah,
mean, I
okay,
would,
yeah.
I guess I'd send it
So-
through David, and I plan to send it through Sue,
Okay.
but
So
yes.
I agree with you. I mean, I would encourage all of us individually on the board or collectively to take advantage of the situation, to say what you have to say. I mean, you're all.
I think this is really good, that they should read this.
So, I mean, I'm happy to send that to them.
So, I was a little, on the 18th, the 11 to 12, is that meeting with the planning board?
I emailed with Sue and she said that, the 11, the planners are us. And, then there's the meeting of the committee in the evening, which
Right,
also
also
includes
us.
us.
More of a public
Okay.
forum.
Yes, but we should be there.
Right, exactly, but I'm just saying that's. what-
And she said that we were welcome, if we're masochists, to, come to any of the, or all of the meetings all day.
Oh,
Right, it's an all-day kind of event for them, they're
Mhm.
gonna be here, so, but it was reserved for department heads and so forth to meet in,
right.
Yeah, the first thing in the morning
First
session
session.
to have, yeah.
right. And then the public, they didn't wanna address the public issues until they had a chance to talk to
It
everybody.
makes total sense, until they have some
Right.
footing. But anyway, Sue said that any or all of us are welcome to any or all of the meetings.
Mhm.
Okay.
That's up to you. All right, so that's where we are with the master plan housing chapter. The senior housing article, is anything else on
No, I have a whole list of things I'm working on
for
for you know, to fill out this outline,
okay,
but I haven't done anything.
but you're in process?
Well, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so we.
Fits and starts, let's put it that way.
Derek, if you have any time just to sit down with me, just so, refresh my memory of what it is that we need to get out, and I can get working on that, because I've been holding that up, and I need
Yeah.
to.
Next week, my kids should be starting camps, so I should have more time next week.
You say they're starting college?
Yeah. Camps.
Where you doing?
They're both home this week, so, you know,
Yeah, I'm in every day except for on Wednesday,
right,
so,
okay,
and it should be a fairly quiet week, so.
right. Okay, well,
The party will be over.
let me look
Yeah,
at my,
4th of July,
I
so.
think probably Tuesday's the best day.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
I'll check my schedule.
Yeah, I mean, probably, 15, 20 minutes just to sit down and say, we need to, this is what we gotta come up with, and then I can have a clear list. And
Yeah, I mean, do you have the query saved from last time we did this?
I did not do that last time, so
Oh,
I
you
don't
didn't do it
know,
last time, okay.
Do what?
pull out the
Good.
report. I can see if we can, I can talk to, it was actually done by Diana, who was gone, so I
Oh,
talked
that
to
report,
Todd
okay.
and see if Todd can find, if she saved that, or if it was something that was done by Vision that they have on, somewhere stored on one of their computers at their offices.
Sounds like it would be easier just to start over.
It might be just to,
So.
This was incorporated into the other plan?
this is incorporated into the housing inventory, I assume that's the word,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
or created the housing inventory.
What was incorporated in the housing?
just the data set we worked with last time.
Yeah, that still exists, I mean.
Well, the data set, it still exists, but I don't know if the
Report.
report that gets, how that gets created, get it updated.
How the,
Yeah, there'd be a query, you know, you have a database and you say, give me all this information.
yeah,
And that tool that they said, give me all that information, whether that's saved somewhere or if it was something that was done
I see,
as a one-shot and is gone, I don't know.
I see. All right. Senior housing article, I had a couple of corrections, that I noticed on the copy that David sent out. There's, in 13.4, the bonus provisions, there's a C and E, pretty much say the same thing.
I apologize, I haven't had a chance to look over these
All right.
since yesterday.
So it says no more than no more than one such development shall be permitted within 500 feet of the nearest boundary of another, and all such developments must be architecturally consistent with the established character of the area, and then E says not more than once. It just seems like that was,
Oh,
Get rid of E.
yeah.
get rid of E.
That's what I took out.
Or you could keep E and move the all such developments must be architecturally consistent, since it's really a different issue, you can move that to E. What do people think?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
split
so,
those
yes,
two, yeah.
so move that architectural stuff to E, so that it's differentiated.
Right, so-
I don't know why that was bunched together. And then the other thing was, in the chart where it says add to 4.1, it should specify that it requires site plan review in the chart.
Now, the way I read this is that you are creating a new senior housing district
Right.
that is equal to the,
For the time being.
right, for the time,
The
but,
starting place.
so what I would actually recommend is that you create another column in, under districts,
Okay,
and then,
well, that's, yeah, I think.
because the way that you're,
I did. Senior housing zoning district.
Right, that's why I said you created a new district, so there should be another column in table 5.1, or 4.1, that says.
For that,
That district, and then what's allowed in
Okay.
that district.
yeah,
Yeah.
which is senior housing.
Well, the underlying district also allows. There are-
Well, yeah, basically everything that's allowed in
In
In the
Lyme
Lyme
district.
Common District plus this
Plus.
senior housing.
But that's something that, because you're creating a new district, it should show up
Okay.
in the table.
Good.
When
So
that table
senior
is,
housing just couldn't be used in the village
well,
district?
that's a question up for,
This, if you read the first,
Mhm,
the introduction,
mhm.
this is a starting point, because we've been talking about this for years and we never did anything, so
So what is the regional planning commission working on? Is it
this.
this?
Well, no, they're working on, so they're doing,
Build.
they're doing a build out.
Based on this, so we're not changing it. The way it functions in the zoning ordinance won't change what the density or build out would be.
well, they're going to do a build out based on the current ordinance and then a build
Yeah.
out, what would be allowed
So
under.
there's a
Right,
comparable.
Right, right.
Yeah.
But
And,
if you were to use this as a use rather than creating a whole new district, that,
The only reason I think that having a new district would work is that if you wanted to expand that district without affecting other districts. So if for some reason you wanted to, you start expanding it up Route 10 or north on Route 10, you could expand it and it would just overlap the underlying districts.
right.
Whereas if you put it just as a use, then when you create if you wanna expand it, you're then having to define where that expansion is,
Mhm.
instead of just expanding the district.
So properties in the common district are in both districts?
Yes.
Essentially, that's what
Yeah.
It's literally like an overlay of that district.
Okay.
And, I mean,
That's
the,
all.
one's a little bit bigger than the other, is basically what, or
No,
potentially.
But again, potentially.
potentially, well, I mean, the Lyme Common District could be bigger too.
Well, it could, but his point is that you may not want to include both
Right.
of them as you expand it, so.
Or if you wanna add other areas that are not adjacent to the Lyme Common District.
Right, it's an easy way, then you just create that new section. But I think to me, the thing I'm interested in, among others, that the Regional Planning Commission is doing is to see, is the existing stock of large buildings enough? Or is allowing new buildings too much? Because really, I don't have a good idea of what's possible there.
So, are we allowed to make it all seniors, or do we have to, we already have an 85%?
Yeah, we're allowed, I mean, yes, you could make it all seniors. The reason for that, I didn't make it all seniors was to make some provision for, affordable workforce housing, affordable housing, and,
But we can still have,
How about somebody who's married, somebody younger?
yeah,
so we
something
can
like
still
that.
have workforce housing without seniors, and they would be.
You could do that, you could do that, but really, what you're talking about, if you had 12, which would be a maximum, you would, I think you could get, two, that would be 16%. So that would be over, yeah, actually, but I mean, I said 85%, but you could get, I would think you could get two, I think I said 85% or what?
85% rounded off to the nearest.
But what was, it was or, I think, wasn't it? 85, or the, somewhere else I thought I said, or, bonus.
Must be affordable.
I thought it said
Maybe it's not typo.
two. anyway, I thought,
Yeah, it's rounded off to
Yeah.
the nearest.
whole number, but anyway, I would think that if it was 12, and all these things can be edited, but I thought if there were 12, you could get, or if it was 6, you could get 1, if it was 12, you could get 2 that were mixed.
That were affordable housing.
Yeah, I forget the
Yeah.
exact language in there. And Vicky, you had suggested, which I think is a good idea, the possibility of mixed use, which would be covered because it's a use in the district.
In commercial.
Yeah, if somebody wanted to have a hair salon or something.
Right. Well, I guess I was just wondering whether we wanted to just make it all senior, if it's senior housing, just make it all seniors.
But, I mean, that's
That's
open for discussion.
Yeah,
I mean, the,
okay. And still have affordable housing, but.
yeah, you could do that. But I mean, to Vicky's point, if somebody's married, somebody's over 60 and is married to
25-year-old.
a 59-year-old.
How about 25-year-old?
Yeah.
Oh, the 25-year-old, does that happen? I don't know.
Yeah, okay, okay.
Well, no matter where you draw the line, there's gonna be somebody who can't get in,
Right,
right?
so
Right.
it'll be a line.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to understand the rationale of the 500 feet. What is that? What makes that, I'm just curious,
Well, I will address your curiosity. I picked that up from some other existing town that wasn't with this, but it's a way when you're looking for a certain type of development to keep it from becoming essentially areas where you just get like 5 of them next to each other. So you create a certain amount of distance so that you're not creating a concentration of a certain type of population, so that everybody old lives in this one area. It keeps a mix. It means that senior housing in that area will be mixed with regular housing, so that there's the benefit of, for those who like that, they can retreat to their senior housing, but they're in an area that's mixed. So that's the reason.
But our density situation within the senior is very much different than the regular. So, is that correct? Am I not reading that right?
Not following.
Well, I mean, our part of the senior is changing the density of our.
It's
allowed-
denser.
Yeah, it's much more dense,
Yeah.
so then we're not allowing non-senior housing of that density next door, kind of thing.
Well, it's not allowed now.
Right,
It's just not changing what's allowed now.
I see.
The idea is that you don't have all of the same type of development, particularly all that dense development in one area. And you don't have the seniors living in essentially a senior ghetto.
And so when you do this, though, the one thing I look at is that, so you take a lot, and there's a large lot, let's say, 50, 60 acre lot, and they're gonna do this development. But then the next lot is only they're 30 or 40 acres or something next to it, but they can't do it because that lot stepped in first, they got in first, and that's kind of what you're saying? I mean,
Well, first of all, is there a 30 or 40 acre lot in the,
well, I'm just.
Whatever it is.
no, but
Suppose I put my development right on the edge of my property,
yeah,
and you live right next door,
Yeah.
the 500 feet goes,
Yeah, exactly.
is
In a
all
lot
on
of
your
cases-
property, it prevents you from doing it.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, you're going to be going across multiple lots in the Lyme Common District because they're
right.
small enough.
500 feet's a long way, it'll eliminate a lot, right?
I would actually relook at that and look at the lots in town. and
Well, I mean, one reason that I think from my point of view, the reason I put that in was if we allow new construction, then the distance becomes pretty important.
Because the thing, if you look at the backside of the common, take 6 on the common, that would be an ideal place to, for senior housing, if that,
To do more?
not to, but to convert it to senior housing. And then you go 500 feet to the east, you're gonna be getting close to the Lyme Inn, but you have the Lyme Computer Building, which is up for sale right now, which also would be a great place to do senior housing, and you're gonna eliminate the ability.
Well, anyway,
So I don't know, that's why I
My,
would
my
suggest-
answer is, let's get the build out
And look at the,
and see.
that.
you know, look at the, if that 500, because I know you took the 500 from other towns, and maybe it doesn't apply well, maybe it does. But maybe
I
it
don't,
doesn't.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's why we need to build out. What I'm trying to propose here is addressing this issue in a way that's balanced and not too disruptive. And whatever the final way to do that is will come out of discussion and the numbers that we get.
Right. I mean, you may find this may not even be necessary only because
Yeah.
the spaces that you're looking to do
Right.
is already there. It's like,
Right.
this lot might be available, but this one's not.
Absolutely right,
You might be spread already, so you may not have to even put something like this in there.
right.
True.
I think it's not totally clear what you measure from. Like, if you wanna say like development, is that like from the drip edge of the house or the structure to the nearest property boundary of the next one? So I just think that needs to be
Yeah,
clarified, because I don't
so-
see that that's clear for measurement purposes. If it's lot to lot, that's one thing, if it's building face to building face.
I agree. I
you know,
think that's a
something
good
like
point.
that. So if you just clarify that.
Yeah. I think those things, from my point of view, really can't be intelligently addressed until we get the build out.
Yeah. Oh, I just saw a typo.
Hosing?
But,
Hosing?
yeah.
No, that's not a typo.
Yeah, okay, I think so.
No,
Senior
this is
hosing.
senior hosing. Did you think this was senior housing? No,
I'm sorry, yeah.
senior housing.
Eric already caught that.
All right. Yeah, I've had the experience with this is I've told people about this housing article amendment, whatever it is, a million times, and it's, ask David for it. There are, people who are interested in senior housing. And then like 2 months later, I'll see them again, I'll say, oh, did you ever look at that? And it's, oh, no, I'm good. And it's like, I don't know how, this is like 6-8 months old or something. And it's,
And
The
you had
pe-
it before last time.
the thing that astounds me is that people who were, who I went to meetings with, who were very interested in this, haven't even looked at it.
Well, I think they just, my impression is that people just want it to happen. They don't wanna be
Well,
involved in making it happen. They just want it to be there cheap so they can move in and they're all happy.
well,
But, they
Yeah,
don't
in
wanna
the
be
form that
involved
they
in making it happen.
want, not just,
well, right,
some people want to have their own separate houses, people want to be in a condo-like situation where you all in one building.
Right.
well, yeah, I mean, I hope we're not boring you there. Is you reading a good book?
This is,
I was just gonna say, no, if I could bring you back,
That's
you
the
know.
videotape to watch.
You didn't have to pay any attention. But you went to a lot of those
Right.
aging in place meetings.
Right.
And what David is saying is true, like there was such a variety of what people wanted specifically.
so the question that I would ask is, are you ready for feedback?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is.
Then I would be tempted to blow it out on the listserv. I mean, you will get feedback, some of it possibly well-informed, and then
No,
other
I
feedback.
I think, I think we're better off doing that
Mhm.
because we're gonna have to respond to the feedback intelligently when we get the build out.
Mhm.
Because I'm sure that's gonna change
Well,
what this is.
I mean, so that's a good observation. In fact, I did at some point where it makes sense, wanna know the status of the build-out process, the build-out analysis.
It's,
It is going to start on June 29th at 8 AM.
So there, which is like real soon now.
Tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock, I
Yes,
have a
okay.
meeting with the lady who's gonna start it here and
Terrific, good. And
get going on it.
that's expected to take
that's, I gotta talk to her to find out
Okay,
scheduling.
Not more than 2 to 3 years.
But I think-
great.
I wanna clarify some things with her too. I don't get the feeling that she has done this a lot.
Okay.
Oh, great.
And so well, I assume there's somebody in the background who's going to be making sure that the questions are asked, but there are questions I wanna make sure that are answered, you know. In what she's talked to me about, she's never mentioned the idea of subdividing lots and being able to, you know, look at a lot and say, okay, well, this one can be subdivided and we get that much more building out of it, whereas this lot can't.
Yeah, and if,
And-
if,
and
if
if-
they're not doing that, what's the point?
Exactly, so I wanna make sure that they're on the right track.
Right.
And there's the whole issue of septic, which.
There's the whole issue of septic, which I don't think we're
That's
gonna.
a huge issue.
Yeah, I don't think that that's going to get answered this time around.
Yeah, we had a hard time answering.
Yeah, that was hard,
Yeah, and they're just gonna rely on, I mean,
you know.
what we relied on, and I don't think they're gonna actually work as hard as we did on it.
No, she seems to expect a lot of data to be created for her.
Yeah,
That's-
well, I mean, that's semi-reasonable.
You know, they wanna know all the area that's developed. And I'm like, well, here's the Vision website that has all the tax records, and you're welcome to go to it and go through each lot, and,
Yeah,
you know, it has all the building footprints.
yeah.
But
It's not something that I can pull out of the tax database and give her.
I think before this goes to the list, we should have the build out and have it in more of a
Right.
final form.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's gonna change significantly
I think it
as a
will.
result of
Yeah, cause then
our
it
own
stirs-
process, then we're spinning our wheels,
Mhm.
getting
it stirs people up.
massive feedback
Unnecessarily.
before then.
Okay,
And
yeah.
there's still plenty of time, there's the whole fall to get feedback on
I agree.
it. And what we learn from the consultants may help with this
I
a lot as
imagine it
well
will.
too.
Mhm.
So, not to, we should. but-
That's a great plan.
Yeah.
I
I have to
mean,
talk to her tomorrow and find out how long that's going to.
That's what you're
But
gonna find
I
out.
seem to recall from the first proposal, it did give a time,
Yeah, there was a.
and it was like 6 or 8 weeks.
Yeah, it wasn't,
8 weeks.
So I would assume, you know, it should be
end of summer.
similar to that.
Right. And what's the dollar amount assigned to this?
It's gonna be about 1,300.
Okay, okay. So it's not gonna be 2 weeks of solid study on this?
No.
Yeah, right, okay.
Depends how much you do for it.
Well, it's good we're getting these things going before the summer starts, so they can work on them when
Right,
we're in our natural sort of lull state.
right.
Yes, I have a program that I use that I wrote to calculate lot coverage and building footprint of a lot. And so I'm gonna take and probably modify that to apply it. I just spit out a report, and what I'll do is I'll create a new data set of all the properties in the Lyme Common District and populate fields in that data set with those numbers, so that she'll have that to work with. Try to, you know, give her a good starting point. I think that was what was gonna take her the most amount of time. It's gonna take me an hour to set that up.
Great. All right, are we done with the senior housing? Condo subdivision submission requirements, we wanted you here, and now you're here. David, you wanna explain to Vicky the issue?
I had one of our really nice residents in town come to me.
Oh, that guy.
He's a fantastic person, I really like him a lot.
That's not what you said last week when there wasn't a camera here.
Oh, we didn't tape last 2 weeks ago?
No.
I missed that one.
Anyway, he, asking about doing a condo subdivision, and I was going through the subdivision regulations, and it mentions subdivisions for condominiums, but there's no submission requirements. And I started looking at some of the other condos that have been developed in town, and it kind of seems to be all over the place for what was submitted for information. You know, it's basically the regular application for subdivision, and then whatever they wanted to give.
So I guess my question is, do we need anything else?
I mean, I would wanna know about if you're, septic, I would wanna know about the adequacy of the well, I would like to know about where they're gonna park.
My feeling is that it's gonna be
Condo documents
kind
need
of
to
a
be revised.
But that would be the same.
So,
as
so it'd be like site plan review with,
With a
so
subdivision.
could we just say that a subdivision for condominialization also requires site plan review? Would that address what you want to
The
address?
site plan review, I mean, goes for multifamily, but if there's only 2 or less units involved, it's not going to apply, so we can't use site plan
But we could
review.
say,
Not without changing the zoning ordinance.
No, it's not, it's
Yeah.
against the state law.
Oh.
I mean, multifamily residential, so you have 3 or more units, you can do that, but not for like a house that's divided into 2 condos, that type of thing. So,
Right, but the only difference between,
what we're talking about
Apartments and
is a
condos.
submission thing,
It's
it's
a
not
submission.
yeah, so if you're gonna subdivide your condo into 2 condos, I mean, we pretty much I mean, we might not say parking area, but that makes a whole lot of sense for a parking area, where are they gonna
all right,
park?
so what would we need in the submission?
Well, I just think about the general, okay, water, septic, parking.
So you're basically saying you want a site plan that has all these,
Right, that
Yeah.
shows, I mean, the condo document is gonna have to assign that person a parking space, and, I mean,
That's a submitted to the state, correct? That's what you're talking about?
the condo association documents
There's
do,
a
and when you
state.
have to revise those, yeah,
Yeah.
you've gotta call that out. You know,
Is that
I
what
mean-
happened here in the past? We basically just relied on the state form and then.
they don't review anything except that the condo documents, clearly assign what you own and the methods for running the condo association. I mean, that's all that does. It doesn't look at the site to say if that's adequate, or not in terms of septic. And, I mean, the state DES might have something for additional unit into the septic, which.
But
is all we would-
historically in Lyme,
Oh, I don't know, cause I haven't been here for a condo subdivision.
yeah, I
Berkshire was
haven't
the
either.
only one that, when that got set up, I was on the board, but.
Which
that-
one? I'm sorry.
Well, yours,
Oh,
Berkshire.
ours.
Yeah,
Oh,
Berkshire.
okay.
Oh, yours is condo?
Yeah, well, wait, I live in one of my spots over here is the condo, that's what we have. And I have all those documents, I looked at it, and I never saw anything from the town.
I don't think the town.
The town reviewed the
the
subdivision.
town did review, I found
subdivision.
the review for it.
Is it minutes, or what did you find? I didn't see
Yeah.
I
any
found a
documents.
folder about that thick
Yeah,
that had
it
all
was a
kinds
big
of
deal.
stuff.
I mean, it was a
Um,
big deal.
I think
Wow.
that the town even said you have the right to park on the state road,
Oh,
which I don't think they had the right to say, but.
But then there's the next, I mean, I think the fire is really important, and that the size of the unit is, it's, the building codes, you have a minimum unit size in the building code, and you can't go below that, so it needs to be conforming for both units.
And last time you were saying that the size of the units over the years have gotten confused because people did stuff, so it'd be a
Well,
good
they added
idea to
these- They
say.
added these porches, and then subsequent to that, somebody enclosed one of those porches, which made it part of the, but it's not part of the deed. It's like, really, wait a minute. So.
Well,
that
that's
should-
something else, we don't get involved in the
No, I get
condo
that,
stuff.
but what I'm looking at is that the plan, as I understood it, there was a plan that had to be submitted to the state. And the state, and that laid out the square footage of all the different
Right,
places, it laid
right.
out the park, it laid out the,
Well, you have a right to.
Yeah, exactly, and all the condo documents, they all had to be submitted to the state.
Right.
And then, I just didn't see where line planning, I haven't seen, I mean, I'll be interested to see this file.
Yeah,
but I've never
because
seen
I pulled that
file.
one this
We
week.
don't
and-
review the condo documents, we just wanna be sure that the state has received them.
Well, the only thing we
Okay.
have in here is, I think, is that subdivision
The
reference, right?
definition of subdivision includes condominium.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yes,
I just, I mean, it, especially if, senior housing takes off, that's probably going to be one of the ways that you have ownership. And
Yeah,
for me, having knowledge of how to have people provide information to the board is going to be,
That's
Okay.
not, remind me though, that's not like up at, the new units that are going now, Bailey's. Those are not gonna be condos.
no, those are not,
Those are
those are all
They're just
rental
all
units.
rentals. But they could be.
They could
right?
be.
I
They
mean,
could be,
it Cause I think that's how this one started, it was a.
An
was
apartment
a-
building.
An apartment building with
With
rentals.
rentals
and
and
then
a
it turned
wood
into
condo.
Well, it's like 13 Dartmouth College Highway, I mean, turned into a condo.
I haven't waded through that one yet, but
Okay.
But Mickey, I don't quite understand, as far as site plan review goes, if somebody's doing apartments, or they're doing
Multifamily
condos,
residential.
the only difference is the ownership.
Yeah.
So how does that affect the
Site plan would still do multifamily residential, you need to have more than 2 units. I don't know what Rusty's project is. I mean, if it's a house that's going into 2 units, we don't review that, because it's not multifamily. Site plan can't touch that.
I don't have a project, what do you mean?
Well, I don't know who's got the project, I don't know what the project is, I don't know
No,
if
it's
it's
where I
valid.
live in one right now, is what
Yeah.
I'm saying, I live in a condo.
Great, and you wanna subdivide it and it's
No, no,
already.
no,
no, no,
Okay.
he doesn't wanna do
No,
it.
no, we're not
it's
talking
not-
about
it's
Rusty,
not
we're talking about the
Rusty.
other nice guy in the room here.
It's that guy.
Yeah.
exactly.
I don't know.
Sometime later, I will probably be coming by to talk to you about condoizing the house by the lake,
Oh, I see.
just to let the
Okay,
cat out
that's
of the bag.
Right.
I was trying not,
That's right,
So,
and
okay,
so I'll say it.
If it's only 2 units, there's no site plan.
Right.
If there's more than 2 units,
Mhm.
it gets site plan
Yep.
review, because it's multifamily housing then,
Yep,
Whether it's a condo or
whether it's a condo or
apartments.
not, yeah.
Right.
Or
Mhm.
apartments.
All right,
So
but,
it's the same
so,
thing.
but you're saying that you,
I'm sorry, I thought it was you.
No, no, no.
In Berkshire, so I.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I was wondering what your project was.
Yeah, I don't have a project.
So.
come on, Rusty, you got a project going.
I better get
oh,
going.
you got a project going, now you know that.
Yeah.
So, let's clarify, you said you want, I thought you said you wanted this addressed in the submission.
Well, I mean, our subdivision regulations talk about where's the well gonna go,
Hold on,
where's the
but
septic
hold
gonna
on,
go.
is that, am I right that you want it addressed in the submission?
It is, I mean, I don't know, do we need to add anything to what's in our subdivision
I'm asking
regulations
you.
now? I don't have a copy of the subdivision regulations here, I don't think that we do. The only thing we might care about is where they're gonna park.
So when this gentleman or any other person comes to the board,
Right.
you're satisfied that the requirements
Yeah,
we have are adequate?
yeah, I mean,
Well,
it's the same thing, you were creating a place for somebody to live, and the best, the important things are, they can come in, I mean, I don't know if we're going to allow people to continue to use a driveway, or if it needs to be upgraded, if it's a
So-
condo to a private
But what I'm
road.
confused about is, and David and Vicky,
Yes,
are you on the same page about, you wanna have things to be as clear as possible for you?
And if, if it's the board's feeling that the information put on a plat for a minor subdivision or major, depending on
Yeah.
how many, I assume, it would be the number of units, or it might just be a minor subdivision, I don't know, that is not clear to me either, but,
But there's 2
well,
condos,
we've got, okay, 2 condos.
it wouldn't be site plan review then.
No.
It wouldn't
Right.
fall under
No.
site plan review.
But if it was
So we-
three, it would?
Yeah, are we saying that we wanna have site plan review if it's?
We already have it, I
Any
mean,
kind of
it's for,
condos.
it's for,
Or any
no,
number of condos?
it's only have jurisdiction over 3 units or more.
Okay,
We
okay.
do not review 1 and 2 family. Okay, so looking at the things for a major subdivision, we have traffic and access, sewage disposal, water supply.
This is considered a major,
Is it a major
a
subdivision?
major
Well, if
subdivision?
it's over 2 lots, right, over 2.
But this is, it's just 2 lots.
well,
I don't know, what's the proposal?
Well, we don't-
No, but
I don't
let's,
Well, the point is,
let's,
3 or more gets caught by site plan.
site,
review,
so we don't need to, but so we're talking about what happens if there's a subdivision that's only 2.
2, then we have a
Yeah.
minor subdivision.
Right.
Which is different.
now does it also, I can see this, the plat, a submitted plat would have, all the information, parking, wells, septic, but it will not tell us anything other than
Will tell us the size of the
the
unit.
size of the units.
Well, don't we have something that says any other additional information that we want, and,
I believe we do
Frankly-
have that, but that, again, that's,
yeah.
difficult for me at the beginning to say, you know, here's what you're gonna need, but the planning board may
Well,
want you to
you-
have.
Well,
I think what you could say with condo subdivisions is it's likely that the
Yeah.
board will want the following information, because I'm
it's state
sure
building
we.
code, so you
Yeah.
might wanna follow that, and we don't have to write that in here, because anything that, is created, this, that code applies.
No, that works for me, I'm just looking for direction to make sure I can answer people's questions.
Right.
That's-
Right, and then the fire is a issue.
Right, and
that
that's,
we have egress, and that is, something, rather than asking for the fire pond necessarily, we're asking, Inslee or the state fire marshal to go in and make sure that the unit as proposed is gonna be
And
safe.
that's, I don't have that out, but that's authorized in minor subdivision.
yes,
Well, we have
Well,
fire
it's-
safety, we
Fire
provide a letter from fire chief, and, for a kind of situation, Inslee is gonna have to write a letter or appear to let us know that it is gonna be safe.
I think just the
But
same
it's-
way he went through Bailey's house and looked at all their layout and what they were going to
Yep.
do. Looked at the construction of the building and, that type of thing, I think is,
All right, so it's.
Money doesn't do that?
no, it's, Mike Inslee, because Mike Inslee's actually trained as a building inspector,
Oh, okay.
and he has, I
He's
believe,
Hanover's
we can't-
building inspector,
Right, but
He
we're
is one of them.
one of them.
yeah.
But our fire chief can't do it.
Well, Mike Mundy can do it also, but Inslee has a lot more experience.
Yeah, okay, but if we can't get it, then
Oh,
it's.
that's the biggest issue, but.
Maybe Mike can learn it, Monday can learn it.
That's how you get your experience.
All right, so it sounds like
I-
we're okay with the way
Yeah.
things are, and you,
No, I have
you
far
can
more
tell them
direction
that
that's,
it's very likely
yeah,
that, that the board will wanna
so
see
you're
the
gonna need to do
following.
a plat for the, and then.
Well,
show
they
it
need
to
to,
your-
just to record, like Rusty was saying, a plan that shows who owns what, so it's not even the plat, I mean, it shows the division within the structure of who owns what, I mean, in terms of basement space and attic space, and,
But again,
do you
that's-
own to the interior of the wall, and then everybody owns the exterior, so you all have to pay when the building gets painted, or, all that, it needs to be clear.
So you also want all the submissions to the state then, or most of them?
I don't care what they say, as long as they send it in, they can divide it up any way they want, as long as it's clear. And we shouldn't, well, I don't care, I mean, that's their problem.
But we want the record.
We want the record, so when,
Yeah.
I mean, another town that I work in, we require them to give us the condo docs, and, it's usually a folder this big. Just so that we know that.
Well, do we
they're
want
prepared.
that?
We can ask for that as additional
They're,
information. for
they're,
condo.
they're readily available at the registry of deeds.
The
so
Attorney General's office keeps them, and
Yeah.
that's where they get submitted.
I think that's
So
probably done.
we can request a copy
Oh,
of that.
absolutely, not like that,
Okay.
as long as I have
Well,
some
that's,
direction,
but
that's
that's what we're
really-
after here, we wanna see what works for you, and Vicky's our expert, so.
Well, it
Well,
just-
you're the best we got, so.
I was around when it happened before, and, I think that, certainly for a major, there's probably gonna be things that we're gonna be waiving. And then we need to, I think, be clear about, driveway or private road, situations.
Yeah, who owns the land?
Well, that's
Of being-
called out, but in terms of the standard that
Right,
the
making sure that the
driveway
driveway
is,
is
whether or
built.
not to get all of the extra delivery vehicles that would then be coming for servicing, the number of units that are there.
Not gonna
field
turn into mud
deliveries.
in the spring.
Well, and the emergency services and all that, so, sometimes you need a better road.
Okay. Anything else on the condo subdivision topic? All right, we're all the way, boy, these last two have been so. It's like in the movies when they say, it's quiet, it's too quiet.
We'll make up for it.
But, new business, I wanted to let you know that I was contacted by Martha Tecca, who's, I guess, the director of community care of Lyme. And she and Patty, did they contact you, David?
Yep.
All right. They're gonna be contacting you to make an appointment sometime in the fall. They wanna talk to us about the housing chapter.
And now that Patty's back, I still have to get their surveys that they.
Yeah, okay. I mean, the surveys will be, are less important now that we're getting all this updated information, so, but it'll be nice to have them. Anybody got anything?
Of course I do. Oh, go ahead, I'll let you.
Just nosy. That house, there's a new house being built, right, at the end of Pinnacle Road? The
Mhm.
foundation is in?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. I just-
Yeah, that's, they're replacing the one that burned down,
Right.
the, Allens.
I don't know.
Yep, they have until November to get it done before they need to renew their permit.
Yeah, because they were gonna build it last year, I think.
Yeah, and then Mr. and Mrs. Allen have been having difficulty trying to align their own visions of what they want.
The foundation,
Boy,
the size is different.
Mr. and Mrs.?
Yeah.
Oh, those are the worst.
That never happens.
Yeah, it would have been so nice if they could have put it up on the hill by the barn, but I guess with the easements. and
There is a conservation easement on that section, and
Right.
they cannot build over there.
It would have been so nice, because then.
It would have been perfect.
And then the view, yeah, coming down Pinnacle, that you wouldn't have the house blocking your view from turning,
Now, it's gonna be far enough back that you'll be able to, I think, set back a little bit further than the original house.
yeah.
Was an attempt made to request an alteration to that?
Yes, they talked to the Upper Valley Land Trust.
And they said absolutely not.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Well, there's a lot of history underneath all that soil, so I assume it's for that reason.
Be that as it may, what do you have for us?
I got an email from Bob Wetzel this week. The easement on the property they bought from Danny Green has been recorded.
Oh, okay, good, good.
So I have not gotten a copy of it yet, but I do have the booking page number.
So he did it.
So it is,
All
has
right.
been done.
I can check that off the waiting for list. Anything else?
That's it?
That's it? Oh, I thought it was gonna be.
No,
something.
there's just,
All right, so do you mind if I take this notice of decision home?
oh,
and
absolutely,
read through it?
yep,
You just need it soon, right?
yep.
Okay.
Oh, there was an email you sent from the guy down in,
That was me.
from you, okay.
Oh,
It
yeah,
it
that- I
could have
thought-
been from Lyme, don't you think? He's asking the exact same
Yeah,
questions.
yeah, I thought that was really
So,
interesting.
you know, I mean,
It's
yeah.
exactly the same.
it's exactly the same problem.
Did Sue send that to?
Yes.
Okay, good,
Yes.
good. I wanted-
Yeah, so I just wanted everyone to know that we're not alone in the state, feeling like there's nothing but higher taxes.
Yeah. No, I think it's very
Did he
common.
want, was he asking for feedback from us and guidance from us?
I think he was asking for, you know, it's the voice crying in the wilderness, you know, what are we doing with our little town here?
He was,
And-
I thought what he was asking specifically was for a small town, what are the facts about, commercial development being a tax positive? That's where it really,
Yeah, he was saying that he was fairly new on the board, he hadn't had much experience in this, so it was.
Well, he's got a learning curve, I guess. He can come
poor
and-
guy.
Come and read
Poor
about,
guy.
yeah, come
Doesn't
and read
know- doesn't-
our report when it gets done.
doesn't know what he's getting
I'm
into.
sure that all the consultants have already contacted him to say, well, you know, it's just a sitting duck.
Yeah.
I wanted to let David know that I went to a gathering of planning people that the Regional Planning Commission held. It was a brown bag lunch
Yeah, I
down
meant to get down there, and I had a
And,
meeting coming up and was afraid I wasn't gonna get back
It
in
was,
time.
you know, there were, I guess, 4 or 5 towns represented, and it was pretty loose conversation, but it's always kind of interesting to hear what others are doing, and Regional Planning Commission staff are there, so you can hear what they're doing, which is also informative. So I think that they agreed that probably they would hold these gatherings like quarterly, and every other one have a topic. So if you had a topic that you wanted other towns to, you know, come and talk about, that would be something. we talked mostly about, bicycle and pedestrian issues. And, because Lebanon and Hanover were both there, and there's a lot of construction going on for those things. And Scott Osgood, who was there from Enfield, talked about, they just had purchased a 2-acre piece of property along the Muskoma Lake, but near the railway, and there are a lot of archaeological problems. So what they really hoped was to create a park there. So, you know, it's just like a variety of things that came up.
I said my intention to get down, but I had a meeting.
Right, well,
didn't,
it was, you know, it's good to, I guess, do FaceTime, real FaceTime with other planner types, and I, you know, I thought it was nice to know who those people are and to hear about some of their issues and
So the plan going forward, they're gonna have a quarterly,
quarterly, like it's for planning staff,
And-
especially those that are, you know, stuck in the hinterlands with no peer group.
right,
Yeah.
and each one a different topic.
Two, I think they're gonna have 2 free-for-alls
Oh.
called popcorns, I didn't know that, and then maybe 2 of the topic.
Where is this?
Down at the Regional Planning Commission,
Which is,
down in Water Street where Central Supply is, in that
Oh, yeah.
building,
Oh.
Lebanon. So, I
that's
think
good.
it was worth
That's
the
not
drive,
far.
except that the construction that's happening in Lebanon is like, yeah, you don't go there if you don't
Oh,
have
is
to.
it bad now?
Really bad,
You haven't been on that route in a
really
while?
bad.
What, the,
Just trying to get into town, because they're tearing up
What
Mechanic Street and then whatever the street that.
It's all water
that-
main,
it-
Is that what it is?
It's stormwater
Oh.
separation and sewer, and they're probably doing water main too. I saw some drainage, I mean, it's, you know, they've been doing it all over the town. I think it's stormwater sewer separation is what they've really been working on, but they might have been doing water at the same time. I mean, they've got a water issue along that stretch of road, because they were talking about that as an impediment to improving a development down there.
Yeah, it's all the water going to all the different houses, so I thought there was, they have a temporary water line set up, so
Yeah. Well, they
they've
probably
disrupted
are.
the whole water
Yeah,
line, so.
yeah.
so do the taxpayers have to pay for this, or do they get any grant money, or?
There is some grant money for this, the separation, and I think, rural development, I don't know what they're called now, but it used to make money available for water supply stuff, and I don't know, I mean, I'm sure everybody in Lebanon knows how much,
They're paying
what
for it.
percentage they're paying for, but it's not like it used to be for sure.
I have some friends that live on the other side of the river,
Mm-hmm.
just almost a little bit down from River Mill, but on the other side. The traffic has been just a nightmare trying to get in and out.
And it's 7 to 7, so it's hard to, if you wanna go to a store, to be able to make it to the store with those hours of construction. Well, you know, it moves, it just, you have to be like, allow extra time, because there are definitely delays and everything stops.
Tied up in that big landslide too that they had a couple of years ago. All that mud ended up at the bottom, or at the end of their road, blocking their road.
Wow.
Hmm.
Oh, on the other side, yeah.
Slayton Hill.
It's like, no, yeah,
Yep,
Right,
that was impressive.
yeah.
yeah, they did a lot of work there.
So I just wanna remind everybody knows that, about, what's the date of that? Is it the 18th?
July.
Yeah.
18th, July 18th is, Eric, you know about that? Okay.
Yeah,
And-
alternative.
And I wanted to show of hands, I was really thinking about this all week. Just a show of hands, you don't have to give reasons or specifics, but a show of hands as to how many people would like to go home now.
This is great.
I mean, is there anybody that would like to go home? Is it-
I have to tell you,
Still
I have to be
late.
out of here by
Is this-
8:30,
would it
so-
Still light.
I'm here until 9, so anyone who wants to stay with me.
Stay with me, the
Welcome.
best is yet to come.
Thank you.
All right, let's get out of here. This doesn't happen too often, let's